you accusing me of something?
Well, the way I see it, there are three possibilities. 1, you stole it. 2, you stole it. Or 3, you stole it!
What's going on, guys? Logan JYA here, and the Drycage is back. We've got another Drytron video 6.0, and this one is packed full of content, so be sure to like and subscribe if you ain't already done so. We're going to be going through the most current build of Megalith Drytron, my newest version 6.0. Then we've got how to side deck with this particular build, and a cool new combo tutorial at the end. This video's got everything, my guys. So without further ado, shout out to Your Playmat. Check them out in the description down below, and Team Grim YuGiOh. Let's get to it. What's going on, guys? Logan JYA here, and I've got an updated Drytron deck profile. Went undefeated with it at a tournament not too long ago, and then top 4'd another one after that, and then I played at a 3v3 this weekend where it didn't perform as well. But I want to let you guys know that this build is still a very fun, high ceiling variant of Drytron, and I have a blast playing it. I always do. Going forward, we're going to make some changes, and at the end of the video, be sure to stick around because we're going to be doing a talk about side decking with this particular build, especially for decks post-BODE, what you bring in and what you take out. Anyway, I don't want to preface this too much. Shout out to Your Playmat to get these awesome custom sleeves, and let's get into it. Alright, guys, starting things off, we start off with the obvious stuff. We're going to go through it real fast. We got the triple alpha Thuban as always, triple zeta as always, and I am still sticking to the golden ratio of 2 gamma and 2 delta. That hasn't changed for me, and it won't change in any future builds. I don't think. I'm never really going to be playing that beta guy. He is not that good. However, there are some other things that I'm thinking about trying out in future iterations. Moving on from there, we've got the Herald package. We've got triple copies of Orange Light and triple copies of Diviner. We do the triple Orange Lights because we are still adding back Eva with this particular build. Like, that being said, there's the 1 copy of Eva, all obvious, all mandatory in this build. Going on from there, I'm still playing Dragoon in this build. I'm playing Dark Magician and Red Eyes. I want to talk about this real quick though. Dragoon, I was bricking heavy at the 3v3 this past weekend, and I think that Dragoon may be a little bit to blame, but if you either play this or DPE, either one, you run the gambit of seeing those brick cards. The benefits outweighed the cost for me for a long time. However, this weekend kind of solidified how fed up I really been getting with it. So we're going to see about changing this in the future, but for now, Dragoon is still the way. Ritual package, of course, we are playing the 1 Herald of Ultimateness. In this build, Ultimateness is absolutely more, it's more better. It's better than the Perfection. We like negating summons. It actually does come up. It's pretty relevant, as well as its bigger 3000 defense body. Moving on from there, we've got the 1 Ben 10, the 1 Ida 10, and then the 1 Natasha. We are playing the big package here. You could cut this down, but for our combo, I think it's important to play all 3. And of course, you guys know how we do it. The Megalith combo, we were playing the 1 copy of Fool and the 1 copy of Ophiel. So that's it for the Ritual package. Moving on from there, triple copies of Drytron Nova, 1 copy of Medionis Drytron. You don't need to play any more than this. 1 copy is enough. It is sufficient. I wouldn't play any more than that. Moving on from there, consistency cards, triple copies of Cyber Emergency to search out any one of your names. I'm thinking about, in a future iteration, playing a copy or 2 of the field spell that searches Nova or Medionis, the Fafnir. I'm a little iffy on it, but if the shape of the build changes and we do something different than the Megaliths, then yeah, that's going to change for sure. Speaking of, we will have a DPE profile on here. Shout out to Tatysm, I know he did one recently, and I'm going to show a similar take on it in the future. Also, shout out to Paul Pelican, big time on that front. But right now, this is the Megalith combo. Moving on from there, triple copies of Forbidden Droplet in the main board. It's one of our going second options, and here's a going first and going second option in the form of triple tactics talents. We're still going with the all gas, no brakes mentality. However, talents has proven to be quite good, especially when you do get hand trap interrupted. It lets you either look at your opponent's hand or draw deeper to try and continue playing. And even going second, it can be extremely, extremely good. It gives you a huge fighting shot against the Tri-Brigades when they go first, because you can yoink the Appaloosa and use their negates against their hand traps. It can really save you. It definitely can save you. So I think Talents is a must right now in Drytron. Following that up with the 1 Red Eyes Fusion for the Dragoon summon, the 1 Foolish Burial because it serves as any name, and the 1 Called by the Grave to go anti-hand trap all the way. That's it for the main board. Let's hop into the extra deck. There have been some changes here. 2 copies of Moy Beta, mandatory.
I was reading some comments in the Drytron Facebook group where people were unsure as to why they had to play 2 Moy Beta. It comes up all the time. I highly encourage anybody to be playing 2. The second copy, whether you're using it to make a Zeus, you're using it as materials in case your first one gets imperm, bailered, whatever, it's important. So we definitely play 2 copies here. New addition here, returning to the party, we've got the Lyrilusk Assembled Nightingale. This card's really good, especially in the Swordsoul matchup. If you are able to bait negates and the only thing left is that trap card, they are expecting you to go into Moy Beta Fafnir. You can really catch them off guard by going into the Assembled Nightingale, which can protect itself from the effects of the opponent's trap card, enter battle phase, and then main phase 2, Zeus them. It's really, really good, and I think it is a cool new addition. Moving on from there, we've got the Downward Magician to make your Zeus have more materials. Since we are doing the Add Back Eva combo, we play the mandatory Beatrice that every build needs to play, and the Ptolemy M7. I got this nice new DT one to add back the Eva itself, or add back Ben 10. I'm going to do a little combo tutorial at the end of the video to show what you do if you hard open Orange Light in your opening hand to make your board even better, get more searches and more follow-up, and that still uses our guy Ptolemy in that combo. Going on from there, we've got the AA Zeus, and then Link Monsters, Link Karibo, mandatory, IP Masquerena, because we still play the copy of Unicorn, Verite Anaconda to make the Dragoon, Unicorn, like previously mentioned, that plus IP is a really good interruption, and finally the 1 copy of Boral Sword for the Link Monsters. This is what we use to clean out games. Only one time did it come up recently where if I had access code I would have been able to gain enough life in time in main phase 1 to beat an opponent who was up on life on me, but yeah, will that happen? Not so often, and the indestructible Boral Sword made with IP is a very legitimate strategy that I don't want to pass up. Going on from there, we still play the 1 Herald of the Arclight. You don't need 2 of it. 2 is nice, for sure, because it's guaranteed follow-up, but 1 copy is all you need mandatorily. Going on from there, we've got the 1 copy of Dragoon. Like I said, this might change in future builds. We're going to try out DPE, we're going to try out a whole bunch of different things, but Dragoon still reigns supreme. He's the strongest, he has the best effect, the worst bricks, but what you going to do about it? And then finally, we've got the copy of Elder Entity Knits to pop cards. Let's wrap this up. Let's go into the side deck. Now, the side deck hasn't changed much. I've been seeing a lot of success with it, so I kind of keep it pretty similar. Triple Drolls for the Mirror Match, Dragon Link, anything that searches a ton. It's not that good against Swordsoul. I was asking opponents that I played against who were playing it. Swordsoul is one of my best matchups. I really think Drytron has a good Swordsoul matchup. But Droll, you don't need it, and I'll talk about that when we get into the side decking. Triple copies of Dark Ruler No More. Mirror Match, Build-A-Board.deck. Helps deal with the Appaloosa, can help deal with Windows. It's a good option to have, but I have considered cutting this, so this might change in future builds, but right now we are still sticking to the triple copies of Dark Ruler No More. Triple copies of Mystic Mine, absolutely phenomenal. The Mystic Mine is so good, helps you win free games, especially games that sometimes you might not have been able to win otherwise. When the Tri-Brigades go first, this is one of the best ways to counteract their strategy. Buy you time, set up a Twin Twisters for their IO. Sometimes you just win right off of this 1 card, so it's phenomenal. And then it combos really well with the Lyrilusk, because when you put yourself under the mine, they have more than 1 monster on the field. You can use the Lyrilusk to Zeus them in battle phase, even if their monsters have higher attack points than a Moy Beta Fafnir normally would. It guarantees you get in there for that attack and can go main phase 2, clear off not only their entire board, but your own Mystic Mine, so it sets you up for success in that way. Moving on, triple Twin Twisters for back row removal, chainable to hit the IO and things like that. 1 Lightning Storm for blowout potential against monsters or spells and traps. Harpy's Feather Duster for the back row, and then finally the 1 of Red Reboot. This is a flex spot. It might change in the future as well, but against Swordsoul, it's again, the monster negates aren't even the biggest threat. I feel like with the right combination of names and or gas in hand for the Drytron deck, you really only have to fear the trap card sometimes. So Red Reboot kind of invalidates that trap card. It also helps invalidate Floodgate decks, Eldritch decks, which might start seeing more play in the near future. So yeah, that is it for this Drytron deck update. Let's get into some talk about side decking with this build, as well as a combo tutorial at the end. Alright guys, now we're going to talk about side deck strategy for Drytron, playing against some of the best decks that you're going to see post-BODE. First and foremost, we're talking about Swordsoul. Swordsoul we have a pretty good matchup against, but you might not know how to necessarily side deck for it yet, especially if you haven't run into it yet. I, fortunately enough, have actually ran into several Swordsoul players and was able to smoke them relatively easily, and I'm going to show you the strategy that worked for me. First
First and foremost, here are the cards that you're going to side out when you're going second, and here are the cards that you're going to bring in when you're going second. When you're going first, the main deck can kind of pretty much stay the same, but let's talk about this, all right? So when you're going second, you're going to be taking out your Megalith package. It really only serves the purpose of your big, strong first turn combo, and it's good when you have to fight going second to play through hand traps or interruptions on the field. It gives you some longevity, but you want these cards to serve a purpose as being your more impactful side deck cards, so those are coming out. Then we got the one extra copy of the Herald and Orange Light because you don't need it as badly since you're not doing the add back Eva combo going second more oftentimes than not, so we take that out. And of course, we're sending out the Megalith, you're definitely not doing it. One copy of Delta because it's technically the worst name out of the bunch. The one copy of Call by the Grave, of course. Hand traps are still a relevant problem, but we don't need to be as prepared for it. One copy of Cyber Emergency. Yes, we're taking a hit on consistency a little bit, but we need to see those side deck cards. The one copy of Triple Tactics Talents. This is good in the matchup for sure, but we can take this card out for more impactful cards. And one copy of the Foolish Burial. Yeah, this one I'm a little iffy about, but I wanted to show you a 9-card side. You can make it an 8-card side and leave this in, or you can leave in the Cyber Emergency or your copy of Delta. I don't like cutting it to consistency that hard because it does cause you to brick, but I'm just talking shop right now. Cards you're bringing in are the triple copies of the Twin Twisters to deal with that trap card and or the anti-spell that they will oftentimes bring in against you. It's going to be one of the most sided cards of this format, so be ready for it. We also got the copy of Lightning Storm to deal with the front row or the back row, or at the very least force out an interruption. One copy of Harpy's Feather Duster, same deal, deal with the trap card or force out an interruption. Triple copies of the Dark Ruler No More to deal with all the interruptions at once, and then the one copy of Red Reboot to deal with the trap card. We have a relatively good matchup against Swordsoul, and we want to take advantage of that fact by invalidating their mid-range end board. And that's what we do with this side deck. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, next deck we're going to talk about here is the Flunderies, or the Floanderies, or whatever you want to call them. Flunder Ds, you know what I'm talking about. I have a very little experience playing this matchup with Drytron. I'll be 100% transparent with you, so this one's mostly theory, and I would love to hear your guys' impact. I would love to hear your guys' input in the comments down below. So, side out is going to be the same, so I won't bother explaining that again. The one thing that's iffy on this one is the Talents. Talents is relatively decent in the matchup, I think, so you might want to consider keeping that in. But besides that, side out is going to be the same as in the Swordsoul matchup. That gives us 9 slots, and the cards we are going to bring in are the following. We got the triple copies of the Droll and Lockbird. Droll and Lock can actually be a turn pass for them. It stops them from searching the trap. They start with the Robinia. Triple copies of the Mystic Mine. From what I believe, the Mystic Mine is pretty good at locking them out. I don't see an inherent out, and it's very similar logic to what we do in the Tri-Brigade matchup. Then the one copy of Lightning Storm to deal with the front row or the back row, same deal. One copy of Harpy's Feather Duster to deal with the back row, gets rid of the map and the trap card, which is pretty good. And then one copy of Red Reboot, because the trap card is a real threat and problem, or I should say both trap cards are. So that's my logic behind it, but I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Let's move on to the next one. Alright guys, so the last deck we're going to talk about side decking for in this video is Tri-Brigade, and the side out for this one is the following. It's the same with the exception of we're keeping the Talents in and we're taking out the Ida 10. You can carry this strategy over for any other deck, but the thing is, I just wanted to show that the Talents is really important in this matchup because of the threat of the Appaloosa. If you can force it once and then yoink that Appo, it serves you double duty of protecting you from their hand traps, and then you only have to play through the one sure egg off of the Revolt. If you have a Droplets to go along with it, you're all set, or one of our side deck cards. Let's talk about those next right here. Let's get into it. So we've got obviously the triple copies of the Twin Twisters to knock out the IO if they happen to see it, or the Revolt, just knock that back row out of there so you don't have to deal with it. Then you're only facing down the Appo, which is really good in combination with another thing. We got the Lightning Storm, the Red Reboot, and the Harpy's Feather Dusters. Lightning Storm to hit the front or the back row, Reboot for the Revolt or the IO, and then the Harpy's Feather Dusters for the Revolt specifically. And then finally, we got the triple copies of the Mystic Mine. This card is a win button against Tri-Brigade. I'm not going to lie, this can be really good, and there's certain games where you can sit on this with a Twin Twisters chilling out in your back row, feeling pretty safe from that IO. I highly encourage you guys to consider giving this a shot because it's definitely the way. So, yeah. Anyway, that is it for that side deck for the Tri-Brigade matchup and the side decking strategies for this video. Let's get into a final combo and we'll wrap this up. Alright guys, to wrap up this video, we're going to do a variation of our add back Eva combo that actually
doesn't add back Eva, it adds back a different card. It's another really high ceiling combo, and I think you guys are going to dig it. As per usual, we're going to start this one off with Alpha plus Zeta. Of course, you can use something different besides this. If you have Nova or Emergency in hand, you can use those to fetch this, or you can have a different name in hand if you have additional fodder to tribute. And in this variation, we're going to talk about if you hard open the orange light, what is another optimal route for you guys to try out. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. Starting things off, we're going to go Alpha, pitch, Zeta. You guys already know how we do. This is going to grab ourselves that copy of the Ben 10 from the deck. Then we're going to use Zeta's effect in the grave, pitching off that Ben 10 to search out the copy of Megalith. Next, you're going to be able to trigger Ben 10's effect and add yourself that copy of Diviner from deck to hand. You're officially safe from Nibiru. Feels good, man. And we're going to continue to play on. Next, you're going to overlay for Moy Beta Fafnir and use his effect and send that copy of Gamma from the deck to the grave, like so. Next, you're going to activate Megalith Drytron, detaching one name off of the Moy Beta Fafnir to summon back that Ben 10, like so. Looking pretty familiar? Yeah, I bet it is. Well, now we're going to use Gamma's effect, pitching off that Ben 10 to special summon itself and that Zeta back from the graveyard, triggering Ben 10's effect to search once again. This time, we're going to be grabbing a copy of Ida 10 from our deck to our hand. This is looking pretty similar, right? And then we're going to use Megalith's effect in the graveyard, reducing the attack of that Gamma to add the Megalith back to hand, like so. Moving on from here, since we're still safe from hand traps, we're going to normal summon that Diviner and use its effect, sending our Herald from the extra deck to the graveyard, grabbing us a search. And here we'll add our copy of Megalith Fool, like so. Next, we'll link off our Gamma to make room, as you guys know how we do, and we'll throw a Link Haribo on the top, doesn't really matter where. And then we'll activate Megalith Drytron, detaching from the Moy Beta Fafnir to special summon the Fool. Fool's effect will then add back Ben 10 from our grave to our hand, like so. And then we'll use Fool's effect on field, pitching off that Ben 10 to summon an Ophiel from our deck. Now we're going to go Ben 10 effect, Chainlink 1, Ophiel effect, Chainlink 2. This will search ourselves a copy of the Fool, and this is where we change things up. We're actually going to add Eva to our hands instead. This way we don't have to banish the Ben 10 from our graveyard, and we still get to use a high number of negates. And you're going to see we're going to get even more value out later in the combo. So next step, you guys are probably familiar with this part, we're going to use Ophiel's effect, tributing itself and the Fool from hand to special summon the Ida 10. This is going to give us back access to our Megalith Drytron. Grab that back to the hand. Next step, we're going to overlay our Ida 10 with our Fool, or you could use the Diviner here, it doesn't really matter. And we are going to summon that copy of Beatrice. Now we can use Beatrice's effect, detaching one card to Foolish Burial, the last name in our deck, and that's Delta. We're going to do that like so. Next, we'll activate Megalith Drytron. We'll sack that extra copy of Zeta over here to special summon back our Ida 10. Ida 10 will then add back the Megalith to our hand. Then we're going to overlay our Diviner with our Ida 10 like so. And we're going to summon our copy of Ptolemy M7 over here. Next, we're going to use M7's effect, detaching one to add from our grave back to our hand our copy of Ben 10. That's right, we're abusing Ben 10 an additional time with this combo. So now we're going to use the effect of Delta in our graveyard, the one name we have yet to use. We're going to tribute that Ben 10 from our hand like so, revealing Megalith, and then we get to draw a blank card. It doesn't matter what it is, it's just additional advantage. Then we trigger Ben 10's effect for a search, and we get our copy of Herald of Ultimateness, just like so. For our next step, we're going to activate that Megalith Drytron, and it doesn't necessarily matter what we tribute because we're going to be using almost everything on our field here. We're going to tribute that Ptolemy M7 in this particular situation to summon the Ultimateness over here. Yes, it is a machine, and yes, you can do that. It is pretty relevant. That sometimes does come up. So we've got our ritual summon out of the way, right? So now we're going to do our next step. We're going to take these two monsters over here, turn them into an IP Mask Arena underneath the Link Haribo. It doesn't really matter where you put it. And then we can take our Link Haribo and our Beatrice and turn them into a Verte Anaconda on the top like so. So we've got our Herald of Ultimateness chilling over here for our negates. We'll use Verte's effect, sending from deck to graveyard the copy of Red Eye's Fusion, as well as our names, like so. And then we get to summon our Dragoon over here.
So this combo is really, really good because think about it, we only use 2 cards in our hand, which means we have 3 additional blanks in this hand on top of this. That means we can take the combo in different routes, sometimes searching other cards, ending with a Natasha in hand as a bonus card for your negate and guaranteed follow-up, or you can just use those as fodder for your Dragoon negate, or your tag out into the Unicorn, or your tag out into the indestructible Boral Sword, picking out whichever ones you want to use on the field to do that. So it can just facilitate your OTK pretty easily on the following turn. But that's our combo tutorial for this video. I really hoped you enjoyed this iteration of Drytron. Don't forget to smash the like button for the Dry-Kage. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you do different. And that's all I got today. Logan JY signing off. Have a great day, and I'll see you chumps later. Peace.
心の隙間埋め